All right, now this is going to be for the switches. Configure S1 and S2 switches. And I've gone down through here and looked and made myself some notes. Okay, so what we've got to do. We've already got switch 2 connected to PCB. So what I'm going to do is grab this console port out of the router, and I'm going to plug it in to my switch like this. Okay, so now I've got PCA connected to switch 1 and PCB connected to switch 2. So let's go ahead and start with switch 1. And I will try to make this a little quicker. All right, enable config T. Okay, now we're supposed to do the basics: host name, banner, MOTD, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and do it. No IP domain lookup. All right, host name. That's 1. Got our banner done. Okay, configuring. Linecon 0. Let's see. Login. You probably could just use in password Cisco and enable secret class. All right, password encrypt. Now we got to do our SSH stuff. Is it ptsa.com or ptsa.net.com? Okay. SSH1 VTY 015. SSH. All right, I think that is it for that. Okay, we got to do this on S2 also, so our day is not over yet. Okay. Now we got to do our VLAN stuff. VLAN 3. Name trunks. Name management. Okay, VLAN 5. Okay. Now this isn't going to be, you know, when you're configuring routers, every router port has its own IP address. We're just going to assign an IP address to this management VLAN, and according to the table, we're supposed to be using 10.19.8.98. And this is going to use 5 bits, so this is going to be, we calculated earlier. Okay, so that's our management VLAN IP. It's going to be the router that's on the same network. I think it was 97. Yeah, 97. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set up switch 1 for its ether channel membership. Okay, so F0/1 to 2. Okay, because we're looking at ports 1 and port 2. We don't really need a description, do we? Switch port mode is going to be trunk. Native VLAN 6. Switch port. Yeah, I know. Okay, all VLANs are going to be allowed. Interface port channel 1. Man, I can't type. native VLAN 6. Okay, now we also need to take care of port F05 because that is going to have to handle our traffic back and forth to the router. So let's do that. F0/5. VLAN 6. Okay, now we need to take care of our host port, and that is going to be F06. Switch port mode access because this is a host device. VLAN 2. We're going to enable port security. Okay, so what this does, MAC address sticky, whenever we have this enabled, then what will happen is the first device that connects to this port, it'll remember their MAC address. Okay, now we're supposed to block off. We're supposed to block off the additional ports that we're not using. Okay, so what we'll do is a big old interface range command. F0/3 through 4. F0/7 through 24. Because we're only using ports 1, 2, and 5 on this switch. So everything else, we want to shut them down. And don't forget the gigabit ports too. Okay. Switch port mode access. Switch port access VLAN 5. So just in case anybody was to get on one of these ports, they're just going to be in a dead VLAN. Shut down. Okay, so that should shut down everything except the ports we're using. Okay, so ports 1 and 2 are up, and 5 and 6 are up. Okay, and then our VLANs are up. Our VLAN 4 is up. Okay, cool. That's what we want. Okay, now we're going to go over here to our table, and we're going to connect to PCB. Okay, now PCB is connected to switch S2. All right, now we got to configure the channels on F2. We got to configure our ether channels first things first. Oh, dang, but first we got to go through all this rigmarole again. For heaven's sake. Nothing's ever easy. Okay. No IP domain lookup. Hostname S2, we've already got that set. TD is set. Okay, the chances of making a mistake in this lab or in this packet tracer are pretty high. So if you don't get 100 on this, you know, I wouldn't sweat it too much unless you're, you know, like a real perfectionist. Okay, in just a minute, we're going to configure fast Ethernet ports 1 and 2, and then all these pesky messages will go away. And I have a notebook that I've written these commands down in. I would recommend that you do the same thing. Because you're going to be doing the same commands over and over again. H. Okay, now we got to create the same VLANs we did on the first switch. All right, VLAN 2. And if you write all this stuff down in like a Word document or a Word pad or notepad, then you can just cut and paste into the console, and it'll take the commands just as if you typed them at the console. And VLAN 6. Native. All right, I think that got all of them. Interface VLAN 4. .99. .248. No shut. All right, IP default gateway 10.19.8.97. Okay, now we're going to set up our Ethernet ether channel. All right, interface range F0/1 to 2. Switch port mode trunk. Native VLAN is going to be 6. Switch port. All right, so it seems to be liking us. Okay, so now we've got port channel 1 is up. Switch port mode trunk. Native VLAN 6. All right, switch port trunk allowed, all of the above. Okay, now we've got a host port F018. We've got to configure that. 0/18. Okay. Switch port. Switch port access VLAN 3. Okay, we're going to enable security. Sticky. Okay, now once again we've got, okay, so we've got all these fast Ethernet ports that we're not using. So we're going to do the same trick that we did on switch 1, where we're going to type in an interface range. F0/3 through, I think, 17. F0/19 through 24. And G0/1 to 2. Okay, switch. VLAN 5. And shut them down. Okay, so that looks good. Port 18. Okay, all those in the parking lot. And then you'll notice that we don't see anything here about our ether channel. But that's okay. All right, now then, what else are we supposed to do here? Okay, if we type in show ether channel, then it shows that we've got this thing going. It's up using LACP protocol. Okay, now let's try this. Let's go to IP config and click on DHCP and see if we get an address. Okay, my DHCP does not seem to be working too well. Okay, so gave it a minute, and eventually this thing was able to retrieve an IPv4 address. Now, last thing, down here at the very bottom, configure the host computers to use DHCP for IPv4. Okay, we got that. Now, for IPv6 addressing, we're supposed to type that in manually. So we're on PCB here, so we're going to just type in this address. Actually, I probably could just cut and paste it, but I'm going to type it in. DB8 ADB:50 64. Okay, that looks right. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for PCA. Okay, PCA, I'm going to close out this. And go to my IP config. I had to go back to R1 and just double check my DHCP configuration, but it looked all right. Okay, so IPv6 address for PCA is going to be 2001 DB8 ACAD A:50 64. Yeah, I know it's invalid. All right, let's see if I can do it this time without messing up my address. Okay, so it's liking that one much better. Okay, so now if I go to my command prompt and I do an IP config, okay, there's my addressing that I put in, and there's our IPv4 address that we got from the router. And so now let's see if we can ping some addresses. Okay. Good deal. We can do that. Okay, now let's see if we can ping PCB from PCA. PCB's address is 10.19.8.85. .19.8.85. We should be able to. it may take the switches a minute to figure out where everybody is. And now that they have, okay, so we're good. All right, cool. Well, now that we've got all that nonsense done, I'm going to X out of that and X out of that, and I think we completed everything that was on our list. It took us a minute. Okay, our packet tracer. That's not what I want. That's the window I want. Okay, now we've done this, so what we're going to do now is submit and see what happens. And I can't remember if I remembered to write the configurations on those switches or not. I'm usually pretty good about doing a write mem whenever I make any changes. I scored a 0. Okay, well that didn't work out too well. All right. Oh yeah, okay, I'm in test mode. See how this thing is lit up red? It's not going to let me actually get a grade. But whenever you guys submit, like if you do all those instructions in Packet Tracer and you submit your work, then it will give you a grade. It'll give you a grade, and it'll also give you feedback about what you got right and wrong. Okay, and if you get like a 50 or something in here, then you can just click on reset, and you can retake this thing. I know it's time consuming, but you know, it is what it is. So set yourself aside some time to work on this thing, because it's, as you saw, it was not real easy. All right, that's it for this one. That took a little longer than I'd planned on, but thanks for sticking it out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.